Although she has maintained an active, occasionally controversial life, she has rarely discussed her feelings and the meaning of Bobby Kennedy's life. But over the weekend, I talked with her about that time and the years since. You look at the children, you see Bobby in them? Ethel Kennedy turned 60 recently, and she now has 10 grandchildren. But she still presides over Hickory Hill, the family estate, more as camp counselor than as matriarch. And she stays close to politics. What would Bobby Kennedy think of the political climate these days?
You know, I don't like to get into would've, could've, should've. But I think anyone who was around in those days and saw him and knew how he felt, things could be a lot better now.
But 20 years later, a lot of the issues that he talked about are still with us. You were with him at his side during all of that. Does it surprise you personally that we still have these issues before us? Did you think 20 years ago we're going to solve these problems?
No, I thought we'd make a dent. And I think we did. And I think that a lot of people have made some sacrifice in their lives to make it a better world. And I think in a lot of ways it is. There's a lot more we can do.
When I've looked at the videotapes of Bobby campaigning and you were at his side, one of the things that strikes me is that for all of your youthfulness now and all of your vitality, you were only 40 years old and he was only 42 years old at the time. Did it seem to you when you were in that campaign that this world would just go on forever for you?
Yes, it did, yes. Well, there was such excitement and such a feeling that so much had to be done, but it could be done. And he'd get it done.
It's now been 20 years, and the country, the world for that matter, is taking note of that fact. Is this a difficult time for you to get through, Ethel?
Yes, there's the difficult part, but then there's also the wonderful part. You know, to remember what he stood for.
For all of your public visibility, just because you're Ethel Kennedy, I mean, you're an American folk hero in your own way, there is this really private, reserved side, isn't there? I mean, this is not easy for you, what you're doing right now.
No, I'd rather have another baby.
Even at this age, you'd rather have another baby?
Yes, certainly.
When you talk to the children, do you sometimes say, gee, I think that your father would think this about a particular subject? Does he come up in conversation?
Of course he comes up in conversation, but I would never, as he never did. You know, Bobby, I think probably that's why he had such tremendous influence on the children's lives. He never tried to impose his own worldview on them. He did it by example. He'd go into the Mississippi Delta and he'd see the hungry children, and he'd bring that home and say, you know, there are a lot of kids out there. Well, I mean, he never preached. But he brought us all along with his enthusiasm and his love of life and his curiosity. And he made everybody feel a part of this battle that we're going to do better, that America can stand for something.
And in this setting, Hickory Hill, is he always present?
He is.
You can feel him?
Yes.
20 years later, Ethel Kennedy says she was not only in love with Bobby Kennedy, she was in awe of him. That's Nightly News for this Monday night. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you tomorrow again from California.